Hey guys, so I'll show you how to make something like this today, which is a picker view. And what we're gonna do is, first of all, is gonna detect, we're gonna write a code that detects if the phone or the device that you use has a camera, as a functioning camera. And the second thing we'll try to do is make a button such as this, and give you an option to either select a photo from your camera, such as like this, or use your library to select a photo like this. So it's pretty easy to do, and this is an app that I've been working on. It's free on the App Store. I'll link it down below if you're interested. Check it out. It basically uses a model to detect what kind of flower it is in the photo. But I'll show you how to code an image picker view. So let's get started. All right, so let's start coding. I'm going to create a new project in Xcode. Okay, let me move this here. So it's going to be a single view app, iOS, and we're just going to name it image picker test, and we're going to use Swift and storyboard. So save it wherever you like. I'll just save it on the desktop. And should be ready to go. All right, let me put it on full screen. Okay, let's go to the main storyboard and add a button. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is make sure there's a navigation bar. So what I'm going to do is select the view controller, go to editor, embed in a navigation controller. Okay, so that's good. Let's just give it a title. Image view. We're gonna make it simple. Okay, and we also gonna put a button on the navigation bar. So search for a button, and we're gonna use the bar button item, and just drag and drop onto the right side. Okay, and I don't need a title, but I do want an image. So let's search for a system image with camera. And I really like the fill ones, so let's use that. Perfect. Okay. And we want to display that image also. So let's search for image view. Perfect. And put it so. Let's put some constraints. I want it to be flush all around. Okay, perfect. And we also want to make sure that it's aspect fit, because I don't want to do any stretching or so. Okay, so now that we have everything in order for the storyboard, what we're going to do is link everything with our code. Okay, so go to the assistant view, and we're going to make a bunch of outlets. So let's connect the bar button item that we just created, and we're going to call it camera button outlet. Okay, and then connect our image view, and we're just going to call it image view. And we also want a function, because we want to do something once you press this button, right? So we need outlet, because in case you want to change the property, right? Like the visual property one. Let's say if the device doesn't have a camera, you quickly want to change this image to something like a photo, right? Instead of a camera. So you can change that using this outlet function. But in order to do something once you press it, you want to have a IB action. So we're going to make an IB action, and we're going to be a bar button, and we're going to name camera button pressed. Okay. I also like to order everything outwards. So I like to have some comments. Register of outlets. And then we're functions. Okay, so let's see what we're trying to do is once the camera button is pressed, meaning whatever you write our code in here. So once that is pressed, it's going to give us two options. You either want to go to the camera and take a picture, or go to the photo library and select a photo. Okay, and whatever we choose to do, the photo that we end up selecting is going to show up here. Okay, so let's make a function, and we're going to call it pop-up. Okay, and whatever we write, and we want to call this function when the camera button is pressed. So we're just gonna have pop-up like that. Okay, and we're gonna create a variable called image picker. It's gonna be a UI image picker controller. Okay. Okay, perfect. So now what we're going to do is create a pop-up, right? Instead of there are two types of pop-up. One is an alert and one is action sheet. And alerts are the one that tells you if there's an error or there's no internet or turn on your Bluetooth. And the action sheet is the one that we want, which basically goes from the bottom and gives you a bunch of options, such as the one I showed you in the introduction. Okay, so we're going to create the pop-up, and we're going to call it alert controller. Okay, and it's going to be of UI alert controller. And we're going to select this one, which has title, string, message, and what kind of style, right? So we want the style. What do we want it to say? We want to say select source, right? Because the source of the photo is either going to be a camera or the image library. And if you want to give more detailed instruction, you can type something in the message, right? And you're going to type something like, would you like to use your camera or your photo library, question mark. Okay, and here we have two options. We have alert and action sheet. Okay, and we're going to select the action sheet. Okay, so now let's make our action sheet. We're going to call one of them camera. So like camera is equal to UI alert action. And we want this one, which has style, title, and handler. So title, we're going to be calling this camera, right? And style is going to be default style. And then we don't want anything in the handler. Okay, so we're just going to press enter, right? Because we're not going to use it, we can use it underscore here, and then whatever code we can put right here. Code goes here. Okay, so let's make another one called library the same way. Alert action, title, string, photo library, right? Style is going to be again default, and then code goes here, right? And once we have made them, we want to link each of these, camera and library, to our alert controller that we just created up above. Okay, and so how do we do that? So we do alert controller dot add action, and the action we want to add is the camera. And the order of this matters. So if you want camera to display first or at the top, you want to make sure you do that first, right? So here we are doing camera first, library second, and then obviously we also want a cancel button, right? In case the user changes their mind. So let's make a cancel button, right? And we're going to call this cancel, and this is going to be, instead of a default, we can use cancel, which gives us a nice look, right? So again, we can have some placeholder code goes here, and then you can just add action, and we're gonna, so all the 3 buttons are now inside of this alert controller. Okay, and the final thing we're gonna do is just we're gonna present, right? Present. And then the view controller we're trying to present is called alert controller, and I like it to be animated. And upon completion, we don't want it to do anything, so you can just return nil. Okay, so that looks good. Before running, I'm just gonna, so once you do press, so nothing, we haven't coded anything, right? So if you press either of these actions, nothing's gonna happen. But let's run our app and make sure that it looks as expected, okay? So let's run. Here's our iPhone 8. Okay, so you can't see any images here because we haven't given a placeholder image. We will do that next. So you can see that something has changed, okay? So let's press this camera button. Oh, perfect. So we have select source, which is our title. And the message is, would you like to use your camera or your photo library, which we specified right here. And the style is action sheet. This is called an action sheet. So we have 2 buttons, camera, photo library. Remember, they look like this because we told the xcode that these are default, right? And as you can see, the cancel looks different because it's of style cancel. If I had just done a .default, it would just, have a cancel button joined by these 2 buttons. I think this looks much more elegant, right? So make sure you use cancel style whenever you're trying to do some canceling, okay? So perfect, all of this looks good. So the next thing we're going to do is, while we're here, let's add a placeholder image, okay? So that whenever we run the simulator, we can make sure that there is an image. Let's just search for image, or let's search for pencil. I don't know why that came up to me. Came into my mind. So, okay, perfect. We have pencil right here. Let's change the color. Let's make sure it's red. Okay. I also changed the background to green. Right. And we can safely close this. Okay. So what do we want to do now? Okay. So when the user selects the camera, we want to get an image from the camera, right? So remember the image picker constant that we have created here is of type UI image picker controller, right? So we're just going to use that every time the user selects the camera or the photo library, okay? So let's use that image picker dot source type, and that's going to be of camera, okay? And if the user clicks on photo library, we're going to say source type is of photo library. Perfect. Okay, yeah. We're in a closure, so make sure you add the dot self or self dot. Okay, so we have done that. And there are a bunch of other things you can tell the code to do. Like for instance, if you want allowing editing, I like to keep it false. Just going to use the image as is. But you can set it to true, and then you can either crop an image before it is saved, okay? And then we're gonna also do image picker dot delegate equals self, okay? And that's gonna be handy once we do select a photo. Upon completion, we want to show it to the outlet we called image view, right? And that's fine. We'll just fix this by adding UI image picker controller delegate and UI navigation controller delegate. Okay. All right. And for cancel, what we like to do is just dismiss, right? So we're just going to dismiss, again, self.dismiss, true, completion, nil. Okay, we don't want anything to happen once it's done, but we just want to dismiss this alert controller. Okay, perfect. And now let's add our delegate function so that once we do select a photo, we want to show it to the image view. Okay. And the function is called did finish picking media with info. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that there is an image selected. Okay, so let's do if let safe image, and the image is stored in this info, and it's an array of image picker controller.info key. Okay, so we're going to tap into that info, and because it's an array, we're going to specify what we want to try to get out of the info, and that is UI image picker controller dot info key dot original image. So now the safe image has the image that the user has selected. Okay, and we're just gonna force it to be a UI image. Okay, and since we're using if let, right, this becomes an if statement. So what we're trying to do is, if there is an image of UI image in by the user, once the delegate did finish picking media with info is selected, right? So once the user selects an image, either using camera or photo library, it's going to be stored into info UI image picker dot info key dot original image. And if that is the case, this is going to be true, and we have a variable called safe image of UI image, and the image is going to be stored into that. Okay. So now that we have this image, what we're going to do is we're just going to display it, right? By image view.image is going to be of safe image. So that's great. Right? All right, so let's run it. Okay, so this is our placeholder image. Now let's select photo library first. Okay. As you can see, nothing is happening. Even if I press the camera button or the photo library button, nothing is happening. Nothing is changing. And the reason for that is we haven't told Xcode to do anything after, after pressing that photo library button. We haven't coded anything. We have just told the picker view that is going to be of type photo library. But what we need to do is present, okay? Present the image picker. So we present self.image picker animated true, completion nil. Right. So we want to present that and rerun it. Okay, let's try it again. Photo library. Okay, so this is what present image picker does. Okay, so you forgot that little code. Okay, let's select this beautiful photo. So it is working, right? But it's staying persistent. The alert controller, or I'm sorry, image picker that we present stays persistent, right? And we want to change that. Once you do pick, so here, so user is picking a photo, right? And here, user is done picking a photo, right? Or sorry, this goes here. So user is picking a photo is here, right? So let's move this code here, right? So now this function is called when the user is done picking a photo, right? We want to dismiss this. So what we're going to do is image picker dot dismiss animated true completion nil. Let's rerun it. Okay, so let's select a photo. Perfect. So it's doing what we're telling it to do, which is to dismiss once we are done selecting a photo, which is great. Okay, so this looks good. So let's try the camera function and see what happens. So our app does crash, saying source type 1 not available, meaning because we're using a simulator to test our app, which doesn't have a camera, the app crashes. So I can't think of any reason why an iPhone or iPad or iPod Touch or whatever the iOS device you're trying to make an app for wouldn't have a camera, but it is a nice coding thing to know. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to make sure that there is a camera present. Okay, so what we're going to do is make it a little complicated. We're going to make var, and we're going to call it is camera available, and we're going to set it to false always. Okay, and then in view did load, we're going to check. So let's say if UI image picker controller dot is source type available, and we're going to check for camera. Okay, so what this is doing is if the camera source type is available, we're going to set this variable, which is camera available, to true. Okay, and we only want to show the action if that is true, right? So let's say if, let's copy it. So if equals true, add this, okay? And we can delete this. Okay, so let's run it. Here's our iPhone 8 simulator. So when we press this button, as you can see, the camera is hidden because we no longer have that option, right? Which is great now that our app won't crash, right? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you what it looks like on my iPhone, okay? So here's my iPhone. So let's run this. And my iPhone has a functioning camera. Okay, so there we go. Oh, my bad. This is what we're looking for. Okay, so now when we press the camera button, as you can see, we have two options, camera and photo library. And upon our app crashes. Why? So it is saying that the app's info plist must contain a user's description, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So here we're going to add under privacy camera usage description. Okay, so here we need your camera to take a picture. Okay, so let's rerun it. There we go. Let's select the camera, and it's asking us because we need your camera to take a picture. Would you like to give the access? And let's. Okay, so thank you for watching, guys. Hope you found this video useful in your project.